Hi, my name is Gabby. I've been with LivBay Lash for about 5 years now, and this channel is dedicated to all things lashes and beauty. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscription button below. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to do lash decals. A lash decal is basically a little piece of nail art or a piece of confetti, or you can even use a rhinestone to attach to a lash to create some more art. You can pick up a lash decal pretty much anywhere. You can go on Amazon and look up nail art decals. You can also go to your local beauty supply. If you're in a bind or in a rut, you can also hit up Target or Walmart. I went to my local Walmart, and this little tube, which has like probably over 5,000 little beads in here, was only $1. So definitely check that out and look around. I tried a couple different techniques before finding the one that worked the best for me. For me, I found that using the spikes and then adhering just with clear glue works best. I know you can use fans, but for me, it's just a little bit more difficult. So let's get right to it. So one important thing to know with lash decals is you have to explain to your clients that these aren't going to be brushable sets. And what I mean by brushable is if there's somebody that brushes their lashes all the time and likes to get that brush all the way through, they're not going to be able to. What's going to happen is the lash decals are going to stop them, and it's almost going to feel stuck. This is on purpose. So as a lash artist, you also have to take note of this while lashing, and note that your isolation may not be perfect and your lashes may feel stuck, although they're not, and you want to make sure they're not adhered to multiple lashes. You also want to make sure you're still semi-isolating and containing it all to one natural lash. So you're gonna make your spike first. Now, I've seen some people will go ahead and make their spike and then kind of cover it in glue and then place the decals. I just find that creating my spike, placing it first, then kind of grabbing my lash decal of choice, which we're gonna just grab whichever is easiest to grab. And they can be a little difficult to grab with your tweezers, so make note that it can be messy. And it does take a certain level of more preciseness, I would say, than even lashing, because you have to really make sure you're not getting it stuck to any other lash. So I've gotten my decal. I'm gonna go ahead and I just want to get one piece of the surface, preferably somewhere in the middle of the decal, glue. Now, if I can't get it on that middle part of the decal, it's not going to be an issue. I'll just do the side, but I want to make sure that I'm only doing one side so that we're not sitting there and drying forever. So now I've come into my spike. I'm going to go ahead and isolate it as best as possible. There's already some previous decals in there, so we're going to go in and we're just going to place it preferably towards the top. Sometimes it's a good shimmying. When you place it, you're not just gonna release like you would any other natural lash. You're gonna make sure that it's not getting caught. And any other natural lashes, you're gonna sit there and really make sure that it adheres to that spike. You don't want it to be moving around or touching anything else. You're just gonna hold it for a couple seconds until you feel like it's dry. Again, you want to make sure it's not touching any other surface. No other natural lash. You could go in and use a mister and a fan at this time to speed up the drying process. You want to make note that these lash decals won't last the entirety of the lash set. So I would even recommend to your clients getting the lashes with the decals removed if they don't want to have them on the full time, or letting them fall out naturally. As a lash artist, you will have to do your work and remove them once they come back, because they do have clear glue throughout the lash, and you definitely don't want that on your lashes. Again, no, it's going to be weird when you're brushing. It's going to feel weird. It's going to look weird. It's not going to be your normal brushing. You want to place these on the bottom layer. And the reason for that is going to be that you can place other lashes above it and kind of brush above, unless they're asking for like a really dramatic lash decal set. At that point, I would kind of just place them everywhere. And you can place multiple decals on one fan. You just have to make sure that the natural lash can withhold it. If it's going to be a weaker lash, you kind of would probably hold off. One thing to know about this process is you definitely want to keep acetone handy if you're using your favorite pair of tweezers. I wouldn't recommend you using your favorite pair of tweezers. Definitely have a second pair on deck, or a pair that you like to use but are more like trashable. That way you're not super upset when they get messy, as the clear glue can get a little messy. I'm gonna go ahead, like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and just pick up a little spike, go in, isolate that spike, and place my spike. I'm gonna wanna make sure that it dries before I place anything on it. Please note that I did make a little thicker spike because I'm placing on a thicker natural lash. It's a little bit more healthy. On this spike, I'm gonna try to place 2 lash decals. The first one. So now I'll place my second one. If you're struggling, don't fret. I think even the bombest of bomb lash artists have difficulties with this. It's just like something new. I think as lash artists, we're also like told, like, you know, they have to be brushable, they have to be isolated, they have to be, and you're kind of breaking all these rules. If you're familiar with like doing bottom lashing, it's kind of the same thing. It's a little awkward at first until it gets a little bit easier, but once it gets easier, it gets fun. And then you're unstoppable. And who doesn't want to be unstoppable? Again, note that you can get stuck on your tweezers. It's okay to use your isolation tweezer to kind of help you. There we go. So we got 2 on there. Again, like I said, keep your mister and your fan handy to help you dry everything. It is gonna take longer, so if you're adding this as a service, I would add extra time, maybe more than 15 minutes, just because you wanna allot the right amount of dry time, and you also wanna strategically place them. You don't wanna place them just in any old fashion or just anywhere. You wanna make sure that you're strategically placing them on both eyes and that they make sense on both eyes. I would definitely recommend doing your full fill first and adding just a couple at the bottom or a couple at the top, but definitely do everything else first. That way it's a little bit easier, because I feel like if you have the decals in there and then you're trying to move around, it kind of gets hard, and you could potentially remove one of the decals with your isolation tweezers. So at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and remove the tape, and then we'll go ahead and show you what it looks like. All right, now that the tape is off, can you please open? As you can see, the lashes that I've placed are a little bit lower down on the lash line. This is just because she asked for them to be a little bit more subtle and discreet. If your client wants a more dramatic or more out there look, you can definitely place them higher up on the tips of the spikes. I wouldn't recommend doing it all the way on the tips, as this can weigh down the natural lash. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully it brought a bunch of value to you. Question for you, have you used lash decals? If so, how was your experience? Go ahead and leave your answer in the comments below. We'll see you in the next video. Bye!